Weird sciencey facts that boggle my mind. When someone first told me that there was probably dinosaur remains on the moon, I kind of felt like I was being fed a flat earth level conspiracy theory. Blue Aldrin was the second velociraptor to set foot on the moon. Or maybe dinosaurs on the moon was like some Scientology shit, because that seems like it would check out. But turns out there is actually plausibly the remains of prehistoric life on the moon. There's dinos on the moon. They carry a harpoon. They're up. Sorry. So how might the remains of prehistoric life ended up on Earth's very first satellite? Well, the answer is as simple as Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. See, space is a busy place. There's more stuff flying around out there than in Herschel Walker's living room when he finds out his ex-girlfriend is pregnant. So it's pretty much inevitable that rocks and comets and space junk will hit other rocks and comets and space junk. So when one big rock, like an asteroid or a comet, hits another big rock, like a planet or a moon, it sprays little rocks back out into space that in turn can go hit other rocks, like other planets. Now at this point, you're probably like, all right, I see where you're going with this. And what are the chances that a chunk of one planet is really going to hit another planet? And the answer is better than you might think. In fact, it's not uncommon to find chunks of Mars and Moon here on Earth. And cosmic pinball is probably how they got here. So the theory goes that, big rocks hit Earth, which they've been known to do a time or two, and it ejects bits and pieces of planet back out of the atmosphere. And some of those bits and pieces of planet, in theory, ended up on the Moon or on Mars. And in theory, on those bits and pieces of planet could be bits and pieces of Barney. Now, this is only a theory. We have only been able to explore tiny fractions of the surface of the Moon and Mars, and so far we've found no parts of Earth, let alone pieces of pterodactyl. Stretching the alliteration a little bit. It is fair to be skeptical that we may never find them. See, Mars and the Moon are both substantially smaller than Earth, so as a result they've got a lot less gravitational pull, and that makes it a lot easier for Mars and the Moon to lose its marbles. And since the Earth is bigger and has a stronger gravitational pull, it's a lot more likely for it to catch those marbles as they're flying by in outer space. Then there's the little detail that Earth has a fucking force field. Stuff traveling through space is going really fast, and if it gets caught in Earth's gravitational pull, it's going to speed up as it barrels towards the planet, and then it rams into our atmosphere, and this creates a lot of friction. That friction starts to heat the objects up and slow them down, so much so that 99% of the numerous billions of pieces of space junk that hit Earth every year just burn up in the atmosphere before they ever make it to the ground. Now, if something does make it through our force field big enough and with enough kinetic energy to launch bits of Earth back into space like it does on Mars and on the Moon, there's a couple more obstacles. See, the Moon doesn't have an atmosphere, and Mars only has a very thin atmosphere, which means when things hit them, they're a lot less hot than when they hit Earth. Unlike them, when a superheated asteroid bumps the blue planet, a lot of stuff, especially organic material, is going to get vaporized before it ever gets off the ground. And if pieces do manage to go all ejectocito, they have got to be moving really fast through that same atmosphere that's heating them up and slowing them down before they ever make it to space. But it's still not implausible, because if a comet were to catapult chunks of rock into space that were already containing fossils, those fossils inside that rock would likely be protected enough to make the journey to another rock. And if they did, and we could find them, it would be a monumental discovery for science. Anything that would have been fossilized by the time an asteroid hit our prehistoric planet would have lived long before we have any real good records of early life. That would mean that fossils of life that has long been lost to time here on Earth could be perfectly preserved on another planet. That could teach us so much about where we all come from. But then there's another theory that actual bits and pieces of living dinosaur made it to the moon. Now, the theory goes that the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs was obviously very big. And a lot of stuff that was on the surface of the planet, including dinosaurs, got the Richard Branson experience for a lot less than $450,000. And the theory goes that these high-velocity chunks of velociraptor could have gotten hoovered off the planet somewhat intact. Because when this giant asteroid hit the atmosphere, it left a hole behind it into the vacuum of space that would have taken a few minutes to seal back up. Theory goes that anything that wasn't vaporized on impact could have had some friction-free help leaving the building as it was vacuumed into the vacuum of space. Now, did that actually happen? I can't say. And if it did happen, is it a guarantee that any of those plants and animals landed on one of our neighbors? No, it's not. But it's not impossible. As Jim Carrey would say, so you're telling me there's a chance. But the fact that one day we may discover the pieces of plesiosaur we've been patiently pondering were possibly purveyed to parallel planets, first try. Well, that is pretty mind-boggling.